Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. Right, the Disney Plus MCU shows versus Superman and Lois. No, fuck it. The MCU Disney Plus shows versus Superman and Lois, Smallville, seasons 1 and 2 of Arrow, and seasons 1 and 2 of The Flash. Why are we adding them into the mix as well? Because the Disney Plus MCU shows are in their inception. They're in their early seasons, so it's okay to compare them to Arrow and The Flash of the first 2 seasons of those shows, because it's the same stages. I know what happened to Arrow in the end. I know what happened to Flash in the end, because they were broadcast on a young woman's, network. So they were always going to be watered down and become what they became, right? That's necessity. But at the end of the day, when we look at all these DC TV shows, Smallville, Superman and Lois, seasons 1 and 2 of Arrow and The Flash, their budget is half the fucking budget of the D Plus MCU shows. Let me tell you what I think of the Disney Plus MCU shows who have got blocked. Basically, they spend the same money on these Disney Plus shows as they do the MCU movies. Let's remember that. They can cast whoever they want. They can use the best special effects. They can do whatever they want. But what they decided to do instead is go, here fans, we're just going to lead you up the garden path and give you as little as possible and just string you along until the Marvel movies. This is a fact. Argue in the comments below if you want to argue with me, right? Let's look at Superman and Lois, right? Superman and Lois has great VFX on half the budget, but it's not the VFX that impresses me about Superman and Lois. It's the superior writing. Todd Helbing, the showrunner, by the way, the legend who helmed Flash seasons 1 and 2, has done a fantastic job. Superman is the #1 DC character for me. He's the first DC character. He's the first superhero. He deserves to be in the best films and the best TV shows. Let's be absolutely clear here. As much as I love loads of live action versions of Superman, Superman and Lois is the first version of Superman since Smallville's Superman and Christopher Reeve's Superman, where the broader audience have come together and all the Superman fans have come together to say, do you know what? This is amazing. This is the Superman I want to see. My Superman. The other versions they've tried. Now, Superman Returns, Brandon Routh was very much loved. There was actually a petition to get him cast in Man of Steel in the DCEU. It didn't work out because Snyder was never going to go for Ralph, but that's how popular he was. So his film might have not been that popular, although I love Superman Returns. I certainly think Superman Returns is a film with many good moments. But let's look at Superman and Lois. Superman and Lois does, Todd does something extremely unique and something different. Everyone's screaming about WandaVision being so groundbreaking and amazing. Let me tell you about WandaVision. It starts off in its first few episodes as this unique kind of sitcom superhero show, but mid-season it becomes an MCU movie. That's what it becomes. That's what it becomes in the end. It pretty much betrays what it was doing and goes and does something else. It becomes 2 shows. You could say, well, it evolves through the season, but not as well as Superman and Lois evolves. Let's look at the unique take that Todd's given us here. He's taken Superman, a Superman that we've seen in the broader Arrowverse shows, introduced in Supergirl season 2, episode 1. By the way, his first episode, Tyler's first performance, is so Superman. He nails it. The politeness, the calmness, the purity of this character. A lot of people have, originally threw a lot of shade on Tyler Hoechlin, too short. Jimmy Olsen actor is much taller than him. Things, nonsense like that. Forget about the aesthetic stuff, even though he looks brilliant as Superman, and I won't hear any word said about Tyler. Now, if there's some things you didn't like when he appeared in the crossovers and in Supergirl, that's down to the creative element, not Tyler Hoechlin. He always has given Clark and Supes his best. But this performance by Tyler is one of the best Superman performances I have ever seen. We look at this character, we've seen everything he's gone through with Lois in the Arrowverse, the crossovers and Supergirl. They decide to move them to Smallville and focus on these two sons. Now, Jonathan in the comics becomes Superboy. In fact, he's the new Superman now in DC Comics as well. Big character. But they turn this on its head and they say there's two sons. In fact, if you go back to Crisis on Infinite Earths, when Clark's cradling baby Jonathan, he goes, I would really like to have another baby. 2 children. And you know, because of Crisis, he gets 2 sons. Amazing. So Jordan, I don't think is in the comics. He's a new character. But it's Jordan who's got the powers and Jonathan hasn't. Of course, Jonathan will get the powers on this show eventually. Jordan is not meant to be Superboy. We know that much. But it's an original take. They move into the Kent farm with Lois and the kids, and then we get this really great original kind of storyline with Morgan Edge. Nobody knows what this is fucking gonna become. Morgan Edge just seems like a British, you know, slimy businessman. What's he up to? Is he experimenting on kryptonite? What's he doing? Then, by mid-season, it is revealed that this fucker is a fucking Kryptonian. A Kryptonian who is Superman, Kal-El's half-brother. Did you see that coming? How many great twists did you have in WandaVision, or Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or even Loki? Be honest, in those shows, you saw most of what they gave you coming. There was really not much development in WandaVision. I actually liked WandaVision, but I don't think it's better than Superman and Lois, or Smallville, or The Flash and Arrow seasons 1 and 2, just my opinion. But I liked that show. I didn't have an issue with it. Falcon and the Winter Soldier is just a lecture. It's just a whole lecture, and if you like that kind of thing, good luck to you. I don't think it's terrible, but unfortunately, it left a bad taste in my mouth. Now, Loki, I love Hiddleston. I love Tom Hiddleston as Loki. I made a video yesterday saying he was a better villain in the first Avengers than Steppenwolf was in Zack Snyder's Justice League and in Justice League, because he's just a CGI villain, a monster, basically. But this is a humanoid. This is a character with wants and needs and fears, and he works. So it's not just that I'm biased towards DC, although I am, I admit that. But I am a bit fed up of hearing how great D+ MCU is, but it's not as good as what we've seen in DC. Let's look at Superman and Lois again. So we've had the twist. We've had Superman now that's got Zod inside him. You know, it's massive, it's compelling, and this is a show with so much potential for the future as well. So we look at a DC show with half the budget, and it does everything and so much more than what the D+ MCU shows do. Now let's talk about the greatest DC television show of all time, Smallville. You know what makes Smallville better than Daredevil, which is a great show, groundbreaking. I really congratulate them, and the first season was the best, by the way. But what makes it better is that Smallville had consistency for a decade. So I can't say that Superman and Lois is better than Smallville, not yet. It needs consistency of 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 seasons. So we can't judge it completely. I can say, wow, what a first season. It just gets better and better every week. And I'm so happy that Superman fans and the broader audience are enjoying it. But Smallville did something extremely unique, again, that none of these Marvel shows are willing to do. Smallville not only told a pre-Superman story, it told us a pre-megalomaniac Lex Luthor story, just as powerful and as compelling as Clark's Smallville story. It works, it's original. They display Clark's 2 romantic interests, Lois Lane. It's unfair just to call her a romantic interest, and Lana. They do Lana and Lois and those relationships so much justice. They introduce us to an original character, Chloe Sullivan, and John Glover's Lionel Luthor. How beautiful were those scenes between Glover and Rosenbaum. Rosenbaum's performance as Lex Luthor is one of the best. And they're throwing fucking Emmys for fun at D+'s MCU universe. And Rosenbaum was an ever fucking nominated for an Emmy. Tell me that's not corrupt. Tell me that's unfair. Tell me this doesn't prove how corrupt this industry is and Disney are getting their wallets out for their Emmys, right? Right? Really? Really? That guy, is it Brody, or whatever his name is, right? Who plays the other Iron Man, whatever you call him, forgot? Being nominated for a supporting actor Emmy for 5 minutes of fucking screen time where he just looks like that and talks for about 5 seconds. Really? And Michael Rosenbaum, one of the best comic book live action actors. This guy was getting his head shaved every fucking day and he accepted it. No, yes, he wore a bald cap in the finale because he wasn't in it enough to basically sacrifice shaving his hair off again. But he came back for us. What Rosenbaum achieved in Smallville was sensational. And then we go to Arrow and The Flash, the first 2 years of those shows. Compelling. Arrow literally gave us Batman Begins for Green Arrow. No, it's not the light-hearted Green Arrow from the comics. We got that in Smallville. By the way, Smallville's Green Arrow was awesome. Without that Green Arrow, we wouldn't have got the CW Arrowverse's Green Arrow. And it's great. For 2 years, it's dark, gritty, compelling. It's amazing. I'll never forget when Deathstroke killed Moira Queen. Never. Sensational. The Flash, the whole story. They really give us that Reverse Flash storyline in the first year. They tell us in that big episode when they explain Reverse Flash to us that he was once a fan of the Flash. They give us everything. Basically, you're talking to me about the MCU D+ shows. Maybe after a few years we'll evaluate them and we'll compare them to DC TV shows again. But DC TV shows can't be compared to MCU D+ shows. Why? Because it's not the same thing. They're working on a broadcast network on half the budget. Now you can compare the D+ MCU shows next year to your Peacemaker, to your Gotham PD, and the Justice League Dark show, and all of that, because they're going to have the same budget as the DCEU movies. So that's fine. So these legendary, iconic DC shows working on half the budget, people working hard. Smallville had 20+ seasons a year, apart from the year when we had the writer's strike, where they actually amazingly put out 19 episodes. So what I'm saying to you right now is, and you can challenge me in the comments or on Twitter @MoviesTVMad, that DC TV has been far superior to the Disney Plus MCU shows. Comment down below, like, share and subscribe, and I'll be back again in the next video. Until then, see you later.